I just don't know. I don't know if I'd be willing to put in the work to freeze my tears and then like use them against somebody.
I feel like you'd also have to explain after too.
Yeah.
Like, what did you just shoot me with?
I
My
know.
tears.
Right.
Brunch. Hit it, boys.
I've got an important question. Is gum over?
I haven't thought about gum in a while.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what happened to me. Last week this came up. I was like, hey, do you chew gum? Do you chew gum? And everybody said, I maybe did occasionally, but then once I think the pandemic killed gum.
Ruined the gum industry?
Yeah, legitimately. Do you know of anybody? I don't know. People usually they're talking about gum all the time. Are they?
I don't
Have
know
you
who you hang
heard from
around
anybody
with.
just like, hey, so I'm watching this movie, still chewing gum because I'm still doing that. Nobody's bringing that up. I think the pandemic killed gum.
Was gum a social thing?
I think it was.
It's like cigarettes. Some people just like to have gum in case anybody asks for some gum.
It existed for social purposes, if that makes sense. Like if you're at work or something, or if you're, it's good to have gum on you, not only for if somebody asks, but I never want my breath to be a concern.
Yeah, but I've never been a gum guy. Like, doesn't gum make your breath worse? That's what I've heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that so? That's like is this one of those like water isn't wet kind of things?
I don't know.
Do you know that water isn't wet? I think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
I do. I think water makes things wet, but water itself is not wet. Let's see. Because one of my coworkers did that. They quote tweeted something with like should the Patriots want Deshaun Watson or something? And he said, "Is water wet?" And I was like, I actually think it might not be. Water isn't wet by itself, but it makes other materials wet when it sticks to the surface of them.
Doesn't make any sense.
I think it makes sense, but not for any way
Not a normal person.
I couldn't explain why.
Yeah, I think that gum somehow makes your breath worse. I've always been a mint guy. I like mints. Specifically, the little lifesavers.
Oh, yeah.
Those little white lifesavers. Those things are the gold standard.
So one of my buddies, we were having this big gum convention, and he said he hasn't been doing gum. My friend said it was a big group text, nobody doing gum. And my friend said since the pandemic started, he has been housing those white lifesavers.
Hell
Because
yeah.
every time he puts on his mask, he puts on one of those lifesavers
Oh,
because
that's
he
so
can't
smart.
stand
The
yeah.
breath
So
smell
my buddy
inside the
Scott,
mask.
he said he can't stand how his breath smells with the mask. And I am
That's
so
a tremendous move.
I totally agree with you can't stand the smell of a mask, but I just got used to it because life is just so terrible and miserable now that I'm like,
Doing a coffee and then throwing on a mask is like
yeah.
torturing yourself. I love that move. Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Has weed being legal killed Altoids?
why? Because that was the storage container?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good question.
And when's the last time you heard of Altoids?
Yeah. I don't know. I think we should get like Big Gum Corporation or
Just get him on the line.
like Mrs. Altoid, whoever runs the Altoid company on the horn, because I think gum is over. Gum, though they do say, I used to be a big gum guy, and then now I just kind of do it as needed. I definitely haven't done it since the pandemic started, but I would do it as needed. I think they say gum is bad for your stomach.
Well, if you swallow it.
It ain't even that.
Really?
It's you're swallowing. It makes you swallow so much air,
Jeez.
which air isn't actually wet unless you soak it in some water.
Gum worse than cigarettes, confirmed.
No, I remember I was I read about it. I was at the Combine a million years ago, and I saw this article that was like, why gum is worse for you than you think. And I had some gum going, and it was like, it gives you a stomach ache. It's just pumping air
does
into
give
your
you a
stomach,
stomach
so it's
ache.
probably going to make you gassy. And I was like,
Now that I think
do I
about
want
it,
good breath when I'm just being a gas guy?
now that I think
so.
about it, like gum commercials don't even exist anymore.
I think that they don't want to BS a BSer. They're like, we know they're not buying gum. What are people buying now? Geico and stuff.
Geico commercials funded by big gum companies.
Yeah, we talked about that kid. I don't want to harp on that. We're in a world now where like people cancel kids, which is just extremely not cool. I'm not saying cancel this kid, but the kid in the Geico tag team commercial
Yeah.
is just upsetting.
Doesn't party. That kid does not party.
Yeah, and maybe it's maybe they're at that age where they're a teenager and they're like, oh, Mom and Dad, you're so embarrassing or whatever. There's an ice cream social going on
With tag
with
team.
music
Yeah.
in your kitchen. Like, at the very least, grab a bowl and head to your room.
Yeah, it's especially tough because like the kid and I don't know if that's her father or something. They walk in at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's
and
like-
they're both met with like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And to the father's credit, immediately comes around and is like, this is
The father's
this
like-
party rules.
Wait, I get to relive my youth with my bride? This is the...
And
like,
ice cream.
Yeah, like when they're dancing and they're doing that. Obviously, shows, commercials have portrayed love in a million different ways. He went to Jared. He bought the ring. He did all those things. Like, that is my idea. Like, that was couple goals for me.
Yep. Just
Ice cream social in the house.
with a
and
live
you're just-
concert.
Yeah, live concert. You're doing dances that you haven't done in years. Just remember, like, hey, remember before we had a ungrateful kid who doesn't like free ice cream? Let's get down. That brings us to we've got, and it's Monday and people are pissed on a Wednesday. Hi, Penny. Penny's.
Bring Penny up for the content now that we have video. Everybody say hello to Penny.
Untouchable tier on Patreon. Get
That's
to
right.
see Penny.
If you did not, check out our announcement episode, which came out just before this. We are now part of Washed Media, which is very, very exciting. It also means that we have some new Patreon action. We've got a $2 tier, a $5 tier, which basically brings you more in as part of the community. We're going to do some bonus content. If you are in the $5 tier, you can kind of have us do your idea for content. And then for the $10 tier, all of our episodes are on video.
Yeah.
So it's patreon.com/listenabrunch, which I think we did a whole thing on the Patreon in the episode. We never once
I
did the
intentionally
URL.
didn't say the URL because I don't know what the URL is. We admitted
Patreon.com/listenabrunch.
we
I believe.
admitted to sucking with Patreon, but I didn't want to admit to sucking
That
so
bad.
badly that I didn't know what the name of it is. So that's cool though. We got stuff coming. You're getting more stuff, and Penny's in the mix. Penny, by the way, huge fan of, I would say me, but I think Penny's just a fan of everybody.
Yeah,
Penny's a really good dog.
Penny's a fan of attention and love. So.
Okay, so it's Monday and people are pissed. An NFL Network reporter tweeted out information about an internship and noted it's unpaid. You do these things, great opportunity for experience, blah, blah, and just got crushed on Twitter, which definitely not a surprise that anybody on Twitter took the opportunity to be mean on Twitter. But it led to the big conversation about unpaid internships and should internships be paid, unpaid, et cetera, et cetera. I think like getting into the ethics of it, I think it's pretty cut and dry. Did you do unpaid internships?
Several.
I did too, and I loved them, and they were some of the best professional experiences of my life, and I fully understand that's not cool. And
Right.
they can't happen. It perpetuates a class divide. It like I think everyone understands how it works. Like Pete and I could do unpaid internships because we could.
We lived a comfortable
right,
lifestyle.
We had a
like-
good enough setup where we either staying at home or whatever, where your work didn't need to be compensated. So, but I think everybody
Right.
understands that. And if you don't, there's shades of gray, so everyone's going to have their argument there. But it did get me thinking, as everyone was screaming at each other, if you could do any internship, one internship, De Niro-style, what would it be?
De Niro-style. I take De Niro-style
I could have
as
said
like
Wilson-style?
Wilson.
Yeah. Wilson/Vaughn style?
Oh, yeah. I heard that movie's pretty good. I've never seen it.
I've seen it like, it was on HBO, so I've seen it like 6 times probably, but it's not bad.
Okay. Explain what De Niro-style means to me, because it might change my answer.
Okay. You are an aging widower,
Okay.
and you just kind of want something to do, so you take an internship. That's what you've seen.
Yes, I've seen the movie, and
Yeah.
that's a fantastic movie.
That is just such like a solid
mid-afternoon
63 out of 100
yeah,
movie.
It really is. Mid-afternoon, like you got nothing to do. That movie's on TV.
You watch
That
the
movie
whole
makes
thing.
your day.
You watch the whole thing.
Yeah. This is very in line with like my life over the past like 8 months. But I think if I was an aging widower who worked or did an internship at Twitch, that would be a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
Because it is, and I think a big part of the internship is that what it's called? The intern.
The intern.
The internship is the Google one.
Yes.
I think that, well, I guess like a big part of both of those movies is that it's like an aging person working at a cutting edge company.
Yeah, right. This was, I mean, in The Intern, he's working for,
Like a fashion company, right?
yeah, but it's something now. This always happens where, like, when the movie came out, you're like, this is sort of cutting edge. I could see it happening, and then like 3 months later, you're like, that's the most dated technology and business model I've ever heard in my life.
It's basically just like an online like store.
It was basically just
Yeah.
like it was like
clothing company.
What's the? It's
Etsy?
like ASOS.
Oh yeah.
That-
or just like Etsy. It's just like an Etsy shop, but like with like power behind it.
Do you get cool stuff on Etsy?
No,
Do you never buy anything off of Etsy?
no.
I'll buy like little doodads here and there, like a hanger for a wall or something like that. I'll get that sort of thing on Etsy.
I've gotten a few gifts, but I've never shopped for myself on Etsy.
People put like Grail merch on there. There was
Really?
there was like a tie-dye Vince Gill shirt. There was like $75 on there from, I don't know, like 1991 or something. And boy, let me tell you, Chaboy was hovering. I was like, do I do it? I didn't. So
yeah, Twitch I think might be my answer.
You know what mine is?
No.
The Martin Agency.
The Martin Agency.
The Martin Agency? What could that be? I'll tell you what it could be.
Okay.
And now that I say could be, I realize I've gotcha because I could.
You could do
Just
anything.
lie.
Yes.
Right. It's the Martin Agency. It builds Martin guitars. No. They do the Geico commercials.
Really?
Yeah. If I could intern anywhere, I would want to be sitting around hearing them come up with that stuff. And you know what? I bet I would maybe like if I'm feeling hot enough and confident enough, like in The Sopranos when when he's on the set of the Jon Favreau movie, and they're like, "What would this woman from Brooklyn yell during a gunfight or something?" Like something just specifically perfect for him, and he's like, she could call her this because this is what they say in Brooklyn. It means like something horrible. But I don't know, like maybe I'm sitting around and they're looking for that perfect line. That's that perfect, extremely random thing, which is what all those Geico commercials are.
Mm-hmm.
I bet I'd pipe up. They'd probably tell me to shut up, but like I think I could force my way into an idea that maybe becomes an idea. They're
That's
always
an interesting idea.
My first day, I'd be like, the whole White Snake commercials, those aren't your best. You know? When the guy's like riding.
Seems like a good place for an intern to just critique the company on previous
Yeah.
things.
Okay, so I mainly like the tag team ice cream commercial.
Just kicking your feet up on the boss's desk. Here's where you went wrong.
I give them like 15 ideas, and they're like, what are you waiting for? The No Limit family to help you wash the dishes? It's just all like the exact same thing as the tag team commercial. That's where I would want to intern.
I thought you were gonna throw out like you know where I'd like to intern? The Belco company.
Ooh, do you think that interns were there?
Part of that. I mean, if you were an unpaid intern and you were a part of the Belco experiment, that is not worth the exposure.
It is funny in the Belco experiment when they realize, like, of course, this isn't a real company. What's the main character's name? What's that actor's name? Is it John Gallagher?
John C. McGinley?
No. Although John C. McGinley absolutely is in that movie.
Yes, he sure
plays.
Is. He's the boss. He's the asshole boss.
No, he's not the boss.
Not the boss, but like he's like
He's
the
just like
asshole like supervisor.
Right, he's just like a creepy guy that works there. John Gallagher, who I think is the main character, is like, of course, this isn't a real company. They never check our work or tell us like if we're doing a good job. Everything we do is just random ass busy work. What? How would you not think that? Like, hey, what do you do for work? Really, nothing.
You spent years at this company and you have no idea like what you're doing, like what you're working towards.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie, that Belco experiment. But Martin Agency, that'd be it for me.
An incredible update on our video episodes is that it appears to be frozen right now, and I don't know how to fix it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
let's see.
This is the authentic, real thing.
Hey, now it's working. Oh, we're good. Okay.
Hell yeah! We just pulled a Speed. You know when they loop the video. Have you seen Speed?
Yes.
When I think they do this to get the people off of the bus, they loop the video on the bus. So who's Dennis Hopper is just watching the same video on a loop, but really they're doing other stuff. So we were just frozen there for a second. We were playing video games or something.
I did get a Nintendo Switch this week.
Ooh boy.
Very excited about that.
That was like I think I want to do that and play Nintendo Switch with you. I don't know anything about video games.
I want you to do that too. I've been asking Ellen for a while if I could. Can you get me a Switch?
Can I get a Switch?
Can you get me a Switch?
Yeah.
And she was like, no. And our anniversary was last week, and she surprised me with a Switch. She said, we're not doing gifts this year. And she got me a Switch.
Wow.
It's a good move.
Great use of the we're not doing gifts this year. We're not doing gifts this year is obviously, this is such a basic conversation. I think that we're above it to even have, but we're not doing gifts is just it just summons chaos.
Oh yeah.
Just
because it's like are we not doing gifts, or are we saying that we're not doing gifts but we're doing gifts?
Yeah.
There's a lot of gray area there, and it's very confusing.
Relationships, am I right?
Right.
It'd be
exactly.
like this one person is like thinking this other person's thinking that. Why can't people just get along? Oh man, I don't know how anybody does it.
So we didn't do gifts, but I got her a couch and she got me a Nintendo Switch.
That's a mutually strong anniversary.
It is, and like both of those things pair extremely well because the Switch is a couch console,
right.
And now we have a new couch.
Sit on the couch and play video games all day.
That's right.
What a life. We saw Tom and Jerry.
We did.
What's that?
I hated it.
Really?
I absolutely hated it.
Oh, I don't think I hated it.
Oh, I hated it.
I did want to check what Tom and Jerry was on Rotten Tomatoes.
24%.
Really?
Yeah.
So, love this. It's got a very high brunch score, which if you've got any new listeners, brunch score, I think, we haven't used this term in forever, is the difference between a low Rotten Tomatoes rating and a high audience score. So, 26% tomato meter, 85% audio score.
Audience score? Really?
Yeah, giving it a, what is that, 59 brunch
sure.
score?
Yes,
I think
that's
so.
correct, yeah.
59.
59%?
Yeah.
85% on an audience score on the Tom and Jerry movie?
Well, here's who must have been seeing it then. And I'm surprised that you hated it. I mean, it's not really good or anything like that.
It's so stupid.
It was stupid.
I guess like my reaction to that movie was like I did the old Michael Bluth, like I don't know what I expected.
Yeah. My friend Kwani brought this up, our friend Kwani, you know
Yes.
Kwani.
Yeah.
She was like, I think this was just made for millennials. Like, is a kid gonna like that movie? And is an an older adult gonna like that movie? I think that really the target was
Like us.
us.
Yeah.
Like the music was the hip hop that was kind of old to us when we were kids, that like we respected, but didn't necessarily have those albums.
The movie literally starts off with a musical number to Can I Kick It?
Yo,
With just birds doing karaoke to Can I Kick It?
my first note, I had no idea who was in the movie because during the opening credits, there were 3 cartoon pigeons lip syncing Can I Kick It? So I wasn't looking at anything but that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was like Michael Pena, Chloe Grace Moretz, Colin Jost, like all this. I was like, 3 cartoon pigeons? Yeah.
It just an insane place to start that movie. And as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, so between that, it has some millennial references, such as the Steve Bartman moment.
Yeah, wild.
That a kid isn't going to get that, but I'm going to watch. I saw that, and I like wrote down my notes. I was like, good. I like I don't know how you feel about Steve Bartman. If the answer is anything but
He deserves
horrible,
a redemption arc.
I feel so bad for that guy.
Yeah.
Everybody was reaching for the ball, and
He was just better at it.
yeah, right. Sorry, he's skilled. He happened to get a little bit of a taste, and everyone obviously ruined that guy's life. Right. So, between the music, between the little references, it seemed like it was kind of targeted at millennials, which I think very astute point. I agree with it, but more strongly, I think, why, if that's what you're doing, like, why weren't you targeting kids? Is it possibly because kids don't know who Tom and Jerry is?
It's quite possible, but like I figured that this would be the introduction to Tom and Jerry for like a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
If like you're making a kids movie and you want them to know who Tom and Jerry is, maybe like the move is make a kids movie with Tom and Jerry.
Right. Well, and like if you're going to make a Tom and Jerry movie targeted towards millennials, then why don't you make like a gritty, violent
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry movie, which would rule?
Yeah. So the bonus episode that we have up for this week is cartoon rivalries. So we will you can see that in the bonus thing that we put up. But
Friday?
no, I think we can do the first one.
Okay.
All in the so if you're
One little sweep.
right, so if you're joining the Patreon and you want to see why you're doing it right off the bat, then you get that taste.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, as for when the bonus videos come out, could be Monday, could be any day.
Okay.
But who knows? Maybe we find a schedule that we like, and this can be something that you guys weigh in on, Patreon people. If you want it more spread out, if you want it, just give it to us as you're making it. We'll do whatever. Anyway, I did wonder when this movie started, like, what do I know about Tom and Jerry? What do I remember about Tom and Jerry? And how does it shape my expectations for this movie? The only question I had was, is this going to be really violent? Because it's a kid's movie. And then immediately Jerry like punched Tom in the face.
Oh yeah, very violent. And it's just like I'd say like 80% of this movie is like Tom and Jerry fight scenes, which I guess is like what you go to a Tom and Jerry movie for. But
I would say that it's mostly Tom getting his ass kicked. So 2 things. Every animal in this movie is a cartoon, and which did confuse me for a second because there's a scene where they're at like a fish market and everything is like real life except all like the fish that they're throwing are cartoons, and I was like, why would they choose to make that cartoon?
well,
They were true to
yeah. So every animal is cartoon, but like only some of them talk, which was
Yeah.
very confusing to me, and they don't explain like who has the right to talk.
Yeah, they do have a lot of animals think. They abandon this, but in the beginning of the movie, the animals think in terms of emojis. So they get a little thought bubble, and there's an emoji in there. And they did that like twice in the first 5 minutes, and then just abandoned it. They were like, they pulled a snowman like
They
as
pulled
they're
a
making
brunch move.
Yeah, they were like, this just doesn't work, so they stopped doing it. But two things with the animals. They're all cartoons, and all of them want to beat up Tom. Tom just gets smoked this entire movie. Every animal, dogs, cats, I'm sure like the singing pigeons, every now, like if there's like a instrumental or something, they just like duck down real quick and smack Tom. They're horrible to Tom.
Yep.
And I realized, like, what did I think of Tom? Like, was there a good guy? Was there a bad guy? Everybody obviously laughed that the small mouse was getting the better of the big cat, but Tom just takes an absolute beating. Not cool.
Tom is the Robert Barone of the Tom and Jerry universe.
That's right. That's right. So Chloe Grace Moretz plays a charming grifter. She goes to a hotel where someone is interviewing for like an event planning position for a high-profile wedding. Her name is Linda Perrybottom. Chloe Grace Moretz tricks her into thinking that she's already failed her interview, gets her to give her her resume, tricks her into leaving, then pretends to be her, steals her identity, and takes that job. Question number 1. Do you know who Linda Perry is?
No.
She was the lead singer of Four Non Blondes.
Okay.
And she then, when Pink got big enough where she could kind of do whatever she wanted, she was like, I want to work with Linda Perry. And they were like, the Four Non Blondes lady? Yeah. So they wrote a little tune. It was called Get This Party Started.
Oh.
Suddenly, people started listening to Linda Perry saying, how do we get this person? Including Pink's biggest rival. You know who Pink's biggest rival was back in the day?
Britney Spears.
Very close.
Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera. They were on Lady Marmalade together, and they hated each other.
Interesting.
Christina insisted on singing a verse that was originally written for Pink, and it was like this whole thing.
Ooh.
So
I always never really got the... I always had like an aversion to Pink because I was like, she talks about how much she hates like the pop stars.
tired of being compared to damn Britney Spears.
Yeah. And then she just like she's one of them.
Yeah. Pink was the industry tried Pink a few different ways before they found something that worked. Initially, Pink was like a rapper,
fake tough guy.
Yeah. She had the song "There You Go," and like a lot of its phrasing, like it was popular, I guess. She says sometimes it bees like that, which like you hear that in songs, but not in like Pink songs.
Right.
Now it's more double entendres, like "Blow Me One Last Kiss" or whatever. Anyway, so getting back to Tom and Jerry, Christina Aguilera hears all these songs and she's like, you know what? I think I want to work with Linda Perry. Pink's like, fat chance. I hate you, Christina Aguilera. One thing leads to another. Linda Perry writes a little song called Beautiful.
Ooh.
Smash hit.
Wow.
Enormous record.
Yep.
That's got to cause a little rift in the relationship between Pink and Christina Aguilera. So I think fences have been mended and that they're really cool. But Linda Perry is really who, obviously she wrote What's Up, one of the biggest songs ever, but propelled a lot of Pink's success. Then, I didn't know this until today. I knew all that stuff before. I looked up, like, what else has she done that I didn't know about? Discovered an English chap named, I forget his name, James Blunt.
Oh.
Yeah.
No
Brunch
way.
favorite James Blunt.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Perry.
Yeah, so that lady's
What
name...
a career.
Yeah. Oh, crazy career. So this character in this movie's name is Linda Perrybottom, and that's... You don't need to know that for any other reason. So Moretz tricks her way into getting this job. Michael Pena plays a guy named Terrence who is good at his job and takes it seriously. Therefore, everything bad happens to him, and he gets fired because of all the shenanigans Chloe Grace Moretz is pulling.
This movie was painful for me how dirty they did Michael Pena.
They do him so dirty.
It's insane. They make him throw on that accent, and it's just like... We know Michael Pena is a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
And watching him have to do this movie was tough.
He takes a beating, and Tom takes a beating.
Yeah.
Although I do like, they made Tom and Chloe Grace Moretz's character kind of kindred spirits. Like, similarly, trying to pull fast ones a lot, but
just like trying to get by.
Right, as a societal commentary, you think, why do they have to pull fast ones?
Right.
Like, why are they in this position?
Yeah.
So,
And like Michael Pena got done dirty by like Rob Delaney's dumbass character.
oh, Rob Delaney.
We've spent a lot of time trying to figure out Rob Delaney's deal.
Yeah.
Now
This
he's just
didn't help.
in everything.
This
It
didn't
definitely didn't help at all. But he got like Michael Pena got done dirty by Rob Delaney's dumbass boss character, and then Chloe Grace Moretz, who just like had no business doing him dirty.
Yeah.
And it was just very, very, it was very sad. Very tough scene for Michael Pena.
Michael Pena did have one good line, though. He's giving her a tour of the hotel where he works in this high position because he's gotten all his degrees and everything he needs to have this important position, and he takes it seriously, and he's done great stuff. So he's talking about how everything is like tip-top at this hotel. And one of the lines he says is, our spin instructor won the Tour de France twice. Oh, that was very funny. So he gets hosed, though. The issue is a mouse gets into the building. They see Jerry, and they're like, we've got a high-profile wedding here. We can't have people knowing that there's a mouse running around. So Chloe Grace Moretz, she's got to make sure that mouse is gone. High-profile wedding, who could it be? Colin Jost and his lovely bride. And let me say, so we'll continue to do like little like the pop-up video things if we talk about things that are maybe brunch staples. We're confused about Rob Delaney, what he necessarily does, and we've long been bewildered with the Colin Jost sex symbol talk.
Yeah, like the infatuation with Colin Jost.
Right. Live and let live. Do what you're going to do. Get out there and earn. Shout out SNL. All the above. But there's a lot of sex symbol talk with Colin Jost that
Hasn't been helped by the fact that he's now married to Scarlett Johansson.
Right. I liked Colin Jost's character in this movie because all he serves to mess stuff up probably as much as Tom, Jerry, or Chloe Grace Moretz. All he wants is a bunch of grand shit happening in his wedding, and all of it is way too ridiculous. For example, 2 elephants in an indoor wedding in a hotel. He brings a tiger. There's a bunch of dogs going on. He's got drones, which probably scare me as much as the tiger or the elephants, but all he does is add more ridiculous stuff to this wedding that they're just trying to plan without these animals ruining it. I didn't hate Colin Jost in this movie.
It didn't do much for me, but I'm glad that he was in the movie because the entire discussion around Colin Jost started with Ellen being obsessed with Colin Jost and thinking that he was like the hottest shit ever during our Hawkeyes and Weathermen episode. And we've come full circle because Ellen said, I didn't think that he was that hot in this movie because he wasn't wearing his suit. Which is exactly the point that we tried to make in the initial discussion was that he's like a clean looking,
right? He's like a clean looking guy in a suit.
Yes.
Like anybody can do that.
Yeah.
So
she said, outside of the suit, not as hot.
Very interesting. So the wedding happens. She's got to get Tom and Jerry to get along. So she sends them off on like a Joey
Gotta get
and
them to work together.
Yeah, Joey and Janice Day of Fun. Remember that?
Yep.
It basically, I just thought of that off the top of my head, but like it basically is that. You go to a ball game, you get cotton candy. Like it's kind of exactly that thing from Friends. And then the Bartman thing happens. Is it Jerry or is it Tom that catches the ball?
I don't remember.
Which, like, I don't know. Don't give up a home run. I get so mad when people are like, "Oh, a fan reached blah blah." Don't let them hit the ball that far. Don't let them hit the ball to the fan. So, they mess up the game. Everyone's mad at them. They get arrested, seemingly, right? They get taken to what's either a pound or a prison, or a jail. It's very much.
Is it animated?
It's animated.
So it's got to be a pound.
True, right. So it's all animals, and here's a twist when they get to this pound. All of the animals there want to kick Tom's ass because every animal in this movie wants to kick Tom's ass.
I'm starting to figure out that I think I may have fallen asleep during this part of the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm filling in cracks.
Yeah. Here's a little peek behind the scenes. Took a little edible before this movie.
No, nice little evening.
Yeah, and
wind down.
I kept dozing off, and I would wake up, and they'd be in the exact same spot. Like they would just be like, "Oh, these two rascals are getting into it again." And I feel like I would wake up, and I'd be like, "Oh, I didn't miss anything. Cool."
So they get out. I forget how, but they get out of this situation, and they make it to the wedding, which is now happening. And
I did see the wedding.
Jost has really outdone himself. He's got all this crazy stuff going on. His betrothed only says in the movie, like, "I just want to have a small wedding," and he ramps it up every time he can. So he's got all these elephants going on. He's got the tiger. He's got the dogs, and all of these animals, it turns out, want to kick Tom's ass. It's the only thing that you learn in this movie, that every animal just wants to smoke Tom. So, wedding goes to hell. Everything bad happens. All the animals are fighting. Ken Jeong plays a chef. He's trying to kill Jerry, taking swipes at him when he's sitting on top of the cake, so he just ruins the cake, which, like, that is absolutely the least of their concerns. They've done millions of dollars of damage to this room. So, it's an absolute disaster. And then this is where, in a movie where half of the characters are cartoons, like this was the most unrealistic thing, they somehow decide, Michael Pena, Chloe Grace Moretz, Rob Delaney, if we can just throw them a small little wedding, we can make this right.
It's like, you are like $200 million in debt.
This is over. You ruined the wedding. You ruined
First
New
of all,
York City. There are elephants.
The marriage would never survive this.
No. And this is like 45 minutes after it,
Yeah.
too. Like, there's elephants running around New York City. The whole thing, that hotel is trashed.
Out of business.
It is an absolute catastrophe.
The Yelp reviews are just awful for that place now.
Right, which small thing, who gets married in New York City? I've been to weddings in New York City, but that's not how you do it. Like, you don't do like the, hey, we're getting married in New York, so we're going to do like a nice ballroom type of wedding.
You could do that
in
anywhere.
New York. Right, like do
Get
that
married in, like,
anywhere.
Central Park.
Save so much money, bring people to a cool destination. I went to a wedding in Harlem. There was like a cool barbecue place, and it was just like a very fun vibe. And it was nice, but everyone was dressed up and everything, but like it was a really, really fun kind of hip vibe.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would do a New York wedding. Although that's another thing that you could do anywhere. But I think that if you're doing a New York wedding, you got to do something like that where you're creative.
Right, and not doing it inside of like a hotel function room.
In Colin Jost's defense, he did, maybe like everybody else had it wrong. He was making it creative.
He's trying to do his best.
Yeah.
Got some elephants in the mix.
Like, just get some elephants, some drones. They don't really explain. Do they explain how Jost has all this money?
They don't explain a lot in this movie.
Yeah, they just say that it's high profile.
We do know that he went to jail.
Really?
Yeah, he said he went to jail he did a stint in jail for a white collar crime.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'll admit, I watched this in 2 pieces, and
I watched it in like 6.
right,
It's fine.
and it also may have been while I was like winding down, falling asleep the first stint, so I may have missed some of the things, but I do remember he makes like very casual reference to
him being in jail.
him
yes.
having been in jail. So,
Which leads me to ask, were we supposed to root for anybody in this movie?
ooh,
Like,
that's a good question.
This guy's a criminal.
Yeah.
He's just coming to a bunch of mysterious money.
We've got a lot of I care a lot vibes in this movie where everybody's a bad guy.
Chloe Grace Moretz is just lying her way and scamming her way into positions that she doesn't deserve. She's throwing Michael Pena under the bus, and Michael Pena's being a little bit of a baby about it too. Not being fair. Rob Delaney, he didn't really do anything wrong other than just being a fucking moron.
Yeah, there was a little love story between Moretz and a guy that worked there that I think they abandoned, right?
don't remember going anywhere. So.
There was like some flirtation, like similarly aged. They were like vibing off each other, and they were like, okay, let's just burn this. Let's just burn this place down. I didn't think it was. Yeah, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I mean,
it's a bad movie for sure. You are.
I didn't hate it.
It's an objectively bad movie.
Okay, it was bad. It was bad. I didn't hate it. I just really liked the soundtrack. I liked there was this
soundtrack was good.
There was this moment after the wedding is ruined and they finally find her out where there's a somber song playing with the lyrics, "That's something beautiful," and I always like the juxtaposition there where it's something. It either sounds happy and the lyrics are dark, or it sounds sad and the lyrics are happy.
That's one of my biggest things.
I gave that to you.
No, you're taking that from me.
Incorrect.
I said it.
I said it on when you interviewed me.
Oh fuck. Well,
that's cool. That's a
15
common
years
thing. Everybody
ago.
has that. But when you interviewed me, that was what I talked about.
I don't even remember that. All I remember
still
from
your
that interview
thing.
is that you didn't watch Breaking Bad.
That's right. But it's still your thing.
Still very much my thing. I love that. That's why I like Churches so much. A lot of Churches songs are like very upbeat, very like on the surface, pretty happy, pretty bouncy.
Yeah.
And you listen to the lyrics, you're like, wow, this girl's depressed.
Right. So so that they got one of those songs going on, and who I looked up who sang it. It's sung by Jacob Banks, but in this scene, the song is playing, everything's a mess. Kayla, the character, is found out. Everyone's all mad. Everything's ruined. They zoom out as the song is playing, and who's singing it? But one of those pigeons. They dip in and out of using a pigeon as a narrator, as a
Karaoke host.
right, as like a song.
John
guy?
Legend does a lot of stuff in this movie, doesn't he?
Really?
I think so.
Let me
I
see.
think that John Legend is like heavily involved in like the music.
Tom and Jerry soundtrack. We got no John Legend.
Okay, well I completely made that up, I guess.
Maybe the Jacob Banks song maybe could have. I mean, it was like a piano ballad.
I could have swore that I saw like John Legend in the credits or something, too.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe not.
Okay, well, solid soundtrack. Really solid soundtrack. Good references, loosely kind of, to Steve Bartman and Linda Perry. No, you're right. You're right. Not a good movie, but for a 2-part watching experience, wasn't the worst time I've had.
Yeah, I'm very much out on it, but I'm happy that you found something in it.
Okay, well, the Golden Globes also happened, and this just didn't feel like a year to watch the Golden Globes.
So the one thing about the Golden Globes that like the biggest redeeming quality of the Golden Globes, it's not that the awards mean anything, because we all know that the Golden Globes are kind of like a little brother.
Right.
The Golden Globes is a party to get drunk and to get shit faced all in the same room.
Right.
People do some wacky shit. You get a couple stories out of it. You just see a bunch of celebrities hanging out in like a very casual environment.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen when there's a pandemic.
No, although Jason Sudeikis did the party part.
Yeah, so
Just like got high and wore a sweatshirt.
I respect him for
Yeah.
sticking to the theme.
Yeah. I think that some people were, I don't know, I'm sure they got drunk sitting there on a Zoom all night.
Just didn't get as toasted as Jason Sudeikis.
Rosamund Pike had a pretty corny acceptance speech.
I didn't watch.
So she won Best Actress, which, good, well-deserved, awesome. She was so happy when she won. She was like, "Oh, like this means so much to me, blah, blah, blah." Like, and then she was like, "I guess you could say I care a lot." And I was like, "Uh-oh." That was the first moment that Rosamund Pike didn't nail something.
Right.
So that was good. That was a little human thing. But I didn't watch. I watched very little of this. I did learn one thing though. Did you know? And this was when Rosamund Pike won. They're showing all the different nominees, and one of them was Kate Hudson. And I was like, "What's Kate Hudson getting nominated for? What was she in?" Did you know Kate Hudson was nominated for Best Actress in a movie that was directed by Sia?
No. Oh, I saw the. It's like a musical.
So it said musical drama.
It's like a trippy musical kind of thing.
No clue.
Is that movie is about somebody who has, I think they're autistic,
Okay.
and they either like think in musical senses or something, and it's about a person with like a disability, and like music becomes a big part of their life.
Oh,
And like
hell
the
yeah.
therapy or whatever. So like I saw the trailer and I was like, huh. I also watched the trailer and I remember the trailer just like revealing the entire movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, do we want to watch a Sia? Like, I would watch a Sia directed movie to see what that's about.
I forgot for a while that Sia directed that movie.
Yeah.
Getting noms, good for her, I guess.
Yeah. Get it, Sia. I mean, I was just shocked to know that this existed. Did you see the thing about the tear gun?
I did see that. Yeah.
Taiwanese designer Yifei Chen is showing off her tear gun that collects and freezes actual tears to shoot them back at the person who made her cry. That's like a hilariously spiteful idea.
Yeah.
Like working on technology to get back at the person that made you cry, but then it just made me think about crying. And honestly, I think I would never use that thing because I think that crying is always about me.
Yeah.
Like something can cause you to cry, I guess, but
But it's always like, I'm sad.
the whole right.
You're always crying because you're sad.
right, it's like the is water wet versus like does water make things wet?
Right,
Like
just-
people can, I guess, make you cry, but like your crying is your experience. You know, like if to give the example of like a relationship or something, I don't think of it as like this person is maliciously making me cry, and obviously everyone's situations are different, but I think of it as like I feel so strongly about this thing, or that like my body and my emotions overfloweth. So I don't know. I think this gun. I don't think we got to bring guns to a cry
tear fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't got to bring guns to it. Would you shoot at anybody?
I just don't know. I don't know if I'd be willing to put in the work to freeze my tears and then like use them against somebody.
I feel
That
like you'd
just
also have to
seems-
explain after too.
Yeah.
Like, what did you just shoot me with?
I
My
know.
tears.
Right. And then you'd have to be like, well, the follow-up question is probably like, well, how does that work? And then you have to explain the technology behind it. That just seems like more trouble than it's worth.
You know,
And then you have to wear that stupid thing that catches the tears. That seems uncomfortable.
you know who shouldn't use that gun because it might come back and hit them in the face. Taylor Swift.
Oh, my tears ricochet.
Not bad.